This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy!
Hi, this is CM Darth, Cool Movies Darth, Russ Stevens, what have you, and I'm just thought of something that I better just use as the content warning for 90 for Chill, the podcast. We're going to actually be pretty clean this episode. I will say, though, that I do regret that I kind of screwed up Chloe Zhao's name when we're getting to a discussion about how there's a lack of auteurs and they seem to all get absorbed by Disney, which I know this is something the Poetic Critic, that's the Poetic Critic on Letterboxd, has always had an issue with. And yeah, I mean, we're paying homage to John Carpenter, who's definitely been an auteur. You know what? It's just kind of glad, I think, that, well, it's a catch-22. He's retired, essentially. But I'd love to see him come back for one more go. So, but with that said, hopefully I'll have the energy to edit this. Otherwise, if not, there will be one F-bomb. We'll find out when the show goes.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
Thanks for checking out 90 for Chill, the podcast. This is your host, Cool Movies Darth. You can follow what I'm watching on Letterboxd. The username is CM Darth. If you're trying to access this podcast via an Amazon Echo or a Google Nest, just ask your device for Podcast by Russ Stevens. That's probably the easiest way to find the show if you need to fill your entire household with the charismatic tones of Russ Stevens. This is a pretty ambitious episode, I would say. It's just kind of really came together. The guest, and I don't know if I really emphasized that S in guest. Now I'm just thinking I sound like Cobra Commander. I digress. So, what happened on Twitter? I basically said, okay, I haven't hooked anything up for August 30th yet. Threw out a bunch of movie suggestions. One of them being Big Trouble in Little China, which George from the Not a Strong Start podcast, a fun observational podcast about entertainment through the eyes of aspiring filmmakers. They're doing more than me, at least they're aspiring. They've got credits. Let's put it that when it comes to our filmmaking. We let in some secrets of Management of the Dead out on this podcast. His response to that tweet was showing thunder from the Three Storms about to explode himself. I just said, all right, how do we get this done? And another person enjoying the conversation, the thread, was Andrew Tiede. You may remember him from the Caddyshack / well, it was a Bill Murray themed one. Caddyshack, Meatballs, and we talk a lot about Ghostbusters. Again, I will work with anybody with any movie. I'll figure a way that we can talk about it, quote unquote, indirectly. I just arranged the Zoom meeting time with George and just said, okay, I got this all set up to Andrew, and he decided to jump in on the conversation. This goes a lot of fun, and I think we keep it pretty concise, which is a good thing, because I don't think these two-part episodes are really drawing as well as I'd like. We're going to keep that movie in my peripheral when I do these recordings, so we know when to call it quits. If I'm promoting movies that are under 100 minutes, I better try to follow the same rules, I suppose. So that's what's lined up. We, as I say, we talk a little about filmmaking. We talk a lot about John Carpenter's career altogether. Have some great observations, and we really kind of try to imagine our remake of Big Trouble in Little China. So, as I say, I had a lot of fun with this. This is the most ambitious episode I think we had. Basically, I know we did the multiple guests with the Doom podcast, but, you know, kids gone wild, and, you know, one guy just wanted to be on the show. Cool guy, nonetheless, but you kind of have to watch the movie, be aware of the movie to be a great guest. With that said, if you want to be on the podcast, send an email to rusthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com. Offer me, preferably, content under 100 minutes, be it a movie, a theme, a director, an actor. Again, I'll work with you, though, if you got something that just runs a little long. We will arrange a time to create some podcast fried gold. If you want to help out the podcast, rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast apps. 5 stars preferably. I do reciprocate those reviews, at least the numbers wise. I might be a little honest, but hey, I'm a critic, probably more than I am a filmmaker. If you see a review by The Scoops Daily, that's me. Send one back, please. Thank you for all of putting up with all the preamble, and we will get on to the show.
This is Jack Burton in the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there.
It's a pretty amazing planet we live on here, and a man would have to be some kind of fool to think we're all alone in this universe.
There is a hidden world where ancient evil weaves a modern mystery.
What's going on here? Is this some kind of...
Magic. The darkest magic.
They call it Little China.
Finally, we shall bring order out of chaos.
It's where Big Trouble was waiting for Jack Burton.
Who? Jack Burton. Me.
Jack!
Jack?
Jack!
They told him to go to hell.
You make one move.
And that's just where he's going.
Somebody, I don't care who, tell me what is going on.
How are you gonna spring us?
I have no idea. There are many mysteries, many unanswerable questions, even in a life as short as yours.
My destiny rests in your capable hands.
Hey, I'll do my best.
Oh God, is this really happening?
This is gonna take Cracker Jack timing, Wang. 1, 2, 3. We may be trapped.
Total concentration.
Safety. Oh, yeah.
You ready, Jack?
I was born ready.
Way to go, Jack.
Jack Burton's coming to rescue your summer.
Hey, what more can a guy ask for?
20th Century Fox presents Kurt Russell in John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China.
It's all in the reflexes.
You guys can call me George.
Sorry. What would you like to be called?
I would say going forward, you guys can call me George.
George? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I took a couple of years of Spanish, and I figured as much.
My mom calls me George, so I'm just used to it.
Okay.
If you use it enough, I'll be like, who's that guy?
All right.
Who's Jorge? I don't know that guy.
Okay, so we got the ground rules laid out then. So we have the first person to really jump in on, of course, this is 90 for Chill, the podcast, where we focus on movies of the ideal runtime of just under 100 minutes, really. Had to stretch the rules quite a bit. Like, all right, got to do Earth Girls Are Easy for the Big Sister, and Ghostbusters ended up only being 45 seconds too long if you cut the credits out. So we did a episode with one of my guests. That would be Andrew Tiede of I know his Twitter handles. I haven't been on the TikTok in a while, sorry. But he's responsible for CouchMan Bakes. And I know his other Twitter handle is at the Class Squatch.
Yeah, that's my comedy one, but I have more fun with the other one.
Oh yeah, no, I squat on as many clever ones I can come up with. Obviously for the show, I mean, I have at 90 for chill, but also the original. Like I was the first to get to Russ the Bus, and then at Cat Bus Russ is what I usually use now. So, and my other guest, who, as I said, was the one who jumped in with the GIF response to the tweet I sent out asking for guests with our, I guess that was Thunder, who had the ability to inflate himself.
Yeah.
That's right. So, that would be George from the Not a Strong Start podcast, and another movie podcast. A lot of fun with his two friends, and I was like intrigued, especially because filmmakers. All right, I'm the guy who's struggling to get my B zombie movie made, so we get
the struggle for sure.
Oh yeah. So that's our lineup, and as I said, we're doing two Carpenters in a row. And then I gotta record Fritz the Cat tonight. No, I gotta watch it tonight to record it tomorrow with Gregory Carl from the They Live episodes. And so oh shoot, gotta turn on the other computer, so I got my notes. Guy who works in an electronics store. This is definitely a jerry-rigged situation. Okay,
I gotta say, I love how chill Andrew looks right now.
Well,
Yeah.
I saw his tweet about an hour ago, so
Yeah. We'll leave it at that.
yeah. All right, so yeah, so let's Big Trouble in Little China, probably the second biggest flop for John Carpenter. I mean, obviously The Thing is the number one. But I think this is probably, like, if you're going to show anybody a John Carpenter movie, you don't show them Halloween. You don't show them The Thing. This pretty much is a summation of everything that John Carpenter represents.
Yeah, it's pretty valid.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So I listened to a podcast called Screen Drafts, and there was a infamous John Carpenter ranking. So they picked the top 7 movies of a certain genre, director, what have you. And a lot of controversy because Escape from New York and The Thing were left off.
Whoa.
That's for me.
Yeah, number 1 was Big Trouble in Little China, though. So I think it kind of says everything right. So, I mean, I think Halloween, They Live. Assault on Precinct 13 made it. So I guess that kind of makes up for the Escape from New York one.
Please tell me Vampires did not make the list.
Vampires did not make the list.
Okay.
Or Ghost from Mars.
I will stand for Ghost from Mars, actually. That was like the only Carpenter movie that I saw first run in a cinema. And it could have been, I think, a totally different thing if, or at least more John Carpenter-y, if the original person to play Natasha Henstridge's character actually was available to shoot. I think she got injured somewhere. Her getting randomly injured, Courtney Love, no. But that was back when she was like the actress for like a brief second with the People versus Larry Flint, and then Man of the Moon. So, which, I take her or leave her in Man of the Moon, but I'll give her Larry Flint. That was I think almost forgotten movie by this point, actually. So let me get those docs up, get the notes. So, yep. So They Live. It was, I mean, yeah, I can't really say any of them were definitely ones we just mentioned. Like, oh, please say that didn't make the list.
Yeah.
In the Mouth of Madness is the only one I really haven't gotten around to seeing when it comes down to it. So I think that does say Prince of Darkness made the list too. So, oh great! No, don't want messages.
Can't help but feel if this list was made back in the 80s, it'd be a totally different list altogether.
Oh well, I mean, let's see. Where like that makes me think of his 90s, and you had like Village of the Dam, Escape from L.A. Memoirs of the Invisible Man. In the Mouth of Madness is probably his best 90s movies, I think, reputation wise. There we go. And recent documents. There we go. So, but as everybody says, this is probably Starman, of course, made the list.
Yeah.
But I can't say I've seen a John Carpenter movie I haven't liked. I mean, Vampires is just silly and overblown. I think that actually speaks to John Carpenter's limitations as a director. I mean, if you watch the action in his movies, he's just got the camera there. It's very, and I've compared it recently to Kevin Smith's style. Like, put the camera there. I know what I want in the frame, and what do you mean cut?
Well, that, and he had the unenviable task of trying to contain James Woods.
Oh, I'm not talking just about vampires, but honestly, a lot of the massacre scene where all of our favorite cameos pretty much get wiped out. I think there's Kari Haruyuki Fukawa is just cut in half, and honestly, it's like the last fun James Woods that we ever got. So, I mean, and I guess no, that would definitely be the last fun James Woods before he went off the deep end. We just didn't want to acknowledge it.
Possibly Hercules. I don't remember which came out first.
Forgot about Hercules. I just can't really think of anything after 98. Like, Hercules. For a second there, I thought, oh gosh, that sounds like he'd pop up in one of those bad Hercules movies that came out in the late noughties with Dwayne Johnson, or what? I think it was the other one. I can't.
Kellen Lutz.
Kellen Lutz, and definitely. I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if he ended up in the Johnny Nitro / Impact / Mundo / Elite Hercules movie. But I'll stand by John Hennigan's B movie he did on his own, which was Boone the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah,
that was fun. I mean, but let's see. So I mean, as I say, like when you watch basically directing any kind of action, it's pretty much the action almost always comes off screen, and then you just see the result. Especially in Big Trouble in Little China, when you see the first fight between the Chang Sing and the Wing Kong, it's always like a shot from behind. Who's ever going to get punched in the face? Yeah. And honestly, you see that definitely in Ghost of Mars, which Clea Duvall's shooting and then her head comes off. So, I mean, it works great for horror for Carpenter. I mean, especially when you have somebody like Michael Myers, who's the only real movement in a scene.
I think that speaks a lot to like when you don't have an action director tagging along, like someone who understands fight choreography and all those.
Oh yeah, yep. So of course, then I'm crapping on him, but then again, he directed the greatest fight scene in all of cinema, Piper versus Keith David. So, so yeah, so. And not to hold it against Carpenter, because I said this is a classic. I mean, one of the best 80s movies. I'll go and throw that out there. But I guess it comes back to Carpenter knows what is very protective of his stories. So he's the only guy who can do, again, bringing back to Kevin Smith. It's like, yeah, they're not great directors, but they give you such a great story. You just want to see that. And the director just serves as the guide. So
yeah, he definitely has a vision.
Yes, right, exactly. So, but Big Trouble in Little China, it's a movie. If you haven't seen it, what the hell?
What are you doing with your life?
Right.
You've only had like 36 years. What's wrong with y'all?
Right. I would say when I but it was a bomb in 86. I think Carpenter's probably most profitable movie. I think maybe it may have ended up being Vampires. I know that They Live did open at #1 for its weekend, but it's just the blockbuster stuff and what have you. Carpenter was never going to make a blockbuster, and I think you would say Vampires is the closest thing he ever did to that format. But so it's the story of Jack Burton, the guy who drives the Pork Chop Express, visiting his friend Wang in Chinatown, and then gets stuck in a ancient Chinese conspiracy.
Haven't we all been there? You're drinking with your buddies, gambling one night. Next thing you know, you're fighting an ancient Chinese demigod.
Oh, I've had enough fights with crazy girls. I mean, that's
that's standard for our area.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's Midwest. I mean, what else is there to do?
Tipping and crazy chicks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as long as you don't mix them, I think you're all right. At the same, I mean, mix the two things at the same time.
Right.
No, you want a girl who's ready to tip a cow.
Oh, yeah.
You just don't want to be crazy when they're
right.
You don't want her to tip you.
Right.
If a girl can tip a cow, that's the kind you bring home to stepmom.
See, I do that. I was harassed once at work, and a ranch sauce at this place. And it's like, I don't like ranch. Are you even from the Midwest? No, so my dad's from Buffalo, New York. They invented buffalo wings. They didn't think of how to make it palatable. So basically, Jack Burton, what the hell, as he would say, is going to help his best friend get his girlfriend from the demon / entrepreneur David Lopan, who is cursed to live as an old man and is basically looking for a wife with green eyes to marry and sacrifice to get his flesh back. Turns out to be a bad idea for him. But, when you're facing the most incompetent action hero, I think, in all of cinema, until you get Key and Peele and Keanu.
I would argue that him and Snake Plissken is probably the worst action hero, and that Jack Burton was more substantial than he was. Only because
that argument,
because Jack Burton actually does some things that actually help. Like, he actually kills Lopan.
Spoiler.
Even though it's a cheap kill, he still kills him. While you look at Escape from New York, he doesn't actually do anything. He's always just lucky that things happen.
Right, but you can at least trust him with a submachine to use a submachine gun correctly.
Just because he knocked himself out with it doesn't mean that he's not a competent action hero.
Yeah,
well, but then it goes
back that he could get knocked out.
Yeah, but then you had the entire bit where he knocks himself out shooting a concrete ceiling, and then the first time he ever got a hold of the submachine gun.
The safety zone.
And that Jack Burton is just full of shit. First time you plugged a guy.
Well, I love how in the special features for the Blu-ray, Carpenter and Kurt Russell even say, this is a movie told from the sidekick's point of view, when the main hero is
actually Wang.
It's Buddy Wang, but we're just telling it from the view of the marketable action star.
Yeah. Yeah, no, dead on there. I've yet to really watch this. Like, I buy so many Blu-rays. Like, I probably would be stuck with VHS for, ever if I wasn't looking for special features that, like so many of my video games. I mean, I've got at least 9 systems to my main TV. And, there's got to be at least 10 games I've never even gotten around to playing for each of them that I own. But I have it. I don't want, I might need this. Digital hoarding is probably going to end up being worse than physical hoarding. So there's, but I'm just saying with Snake, no, Snake doesn't really want to do anything anyhow, though. Like, if he didn't get tricked into getting the explosives put into his neck in the first movie,
yeah,
he wouldn't have done anything.
Well,
he would have.
That doesn't make him an incompetent action hero. That just makes him a lazy one.
No, that's fair. Yeah. So, now that we're talking about Snake, Escape from L.A., like, that's fun camp, but I think it kind of misses the grindhouse feel, though, of the original. I don't think until Rodriguez and Tarantino came out with Grindhouse did anybody try to capture that. Just go to the cheap, like, we want to make it look cheap and gritty.
Yeah, but they knew exactly what they're doing. They wanted to pay homage to those films, right?
And there's been a lot of good Grindhouse-esque movies since the Grindhouse, but again, the Grindhouse was a bomb.
But if you were lucky enough to go see that in a theater,
I was. Yeah.
Oh god, the trailers, the double feature feel of it, it was so good.
Yeah. All right, so I got the movie playing in my peripheral right now, just so I can definitely get an out at some point. Okay, now they're starting to sing Big Trouble in Little China, which I just watched the music video for and it's like, for a second there I thought, well, is that Carpenter doing the main? And it is. But,
the low voice, that's him.
Yeah, but the high voice, I thought, like, I can see Carpenter doing that, and I just associate Kurt Russell since he played Elvis. Like, surely he's going to go and do something like that.
Also directed by Carpenter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first flick they ever worked on together.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Just before, I think it was Used Cars was the first movie that Kurt Russell really got to become Kurt Russell. He was still the Disney kid.
Yeah. Another Kurt Russell.
And going from Disney movies to Used Car was like Elizabeth Berkley going from Saved by the Bell to Showgirls.
Yeah. Oh, which I don't know. Really, was it that big of a jump? I mean, you got Michael McKean and.
Well, going from doing Disney movies for the better part of 15, 20 years to, nudity, very vulgar language, very sexist. Yeah. It was a big departure from, The Fox and the Hound.
Well, The Fox and the Hound was after Used Cars.
True. That was his return to Disney.
Yeah. And I guess then it's Sky High. And then
he did. Yeah, there's that one.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about it. I've never watched it.
It's a decent
family movie.
Yeah, exactly. For a family, it's entertaining.
Yeah. And then, honestly, though, he's like Tarantino's kind of shaped him into the new Western hero, I think, at least with Django. And then you'd go, not Django, I'm sorry, Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight.
But then, Bone Tomahawk was the same year, so I guess you can't really say.
Well, he had already had an affinity for Western. He had
Tombstone. Yeah. So
even this movie of Big Trouble in Little China, they kind of talk about it.
Their
commentary of like how this was meant to be
a Western. Yeah.
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 If you take this same setting and put it in like 1880s San Francisco, Chinatown, it would work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like, who has my horse? I got to get my horse back.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Replace Peterbilt or Freightliner, whichever one it was.
It was a Freightliner. I worked at a truck stop for 6 years, so it's... You got to get your vehicle straight in front of the truck drivers. Still better to deal with them than college kids. But
oh, word.
Yeah. I mean, they're a little more desperate though. I mean, I don't know how many times I got calls like, okay, so are you gay? Bye.
Oh.
Like, okay, so you notice we don't have lot lizards, I suppose. But so I do find it interesting. This movie does open with the conclusion first. You know.
Well, that was another thing going back to the whole, Kurt Russell being the sidekick. The execs wanted Carpenter to add that scene in to make Jack look like more of the hero. If you listen to Victor Wong's speech, he's like, he's a hero. We are in great debt to him.
Yeah.
It's basically saying like, ignore the next 90 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't think about it like that. That's why I documented it and brought it up.
Yeah, a lot of meetings with the execs where there's like,
oh, I mean, I told
anything heroic at all in this whole movie.
Well, I told my coworker we were both leaving at the same time today, and he's been meaning to get on the show, and like, we're doing Big Trouble in Little China. And then I walk him back, and he says, "Oh, Kim Cattrall. They didn't want Kim Cattrall. They wanted some rock star to play Gracie Law." Because they didn't want no, she's just a bimbo. She's Lassie. I mean, so
to be fair, most of us owe our puberty to that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, which one ages us. And
I remember being 5 years old and watching Porky's with my dad.
Oh,
and I'm just like, that's a woman right there.
Your father raised you right.
No.
I know nothing else. I know that much.
Well, my parents followed the MPAA until I think it was Batman, and we talked about it in the Caddyshack, the Caddyshack, and Meatballs episode that my parents pretty much not until 1989 was like. When Batman came out, my mom said, screw it. I'm taking my kids to see a PG-13 rated movie.
I can remember being 5 and my dad bringing home this tape called Barbarella.
Well,
and watching the opening credits.
It's a striptease, yeah.
About 5-year-old me that I did not know about.
That happened with the MPAA was a lot weirder then.
Like, well, yeah, I mean, you didn't get your first PG-13 movie till after what, Gremlins?
Yeah, Gremlins and Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steven Spielberg. It was so needless to say, I wasn't going to see Big Trouble in 1986. I'm being 6 years old at that time. And I didn't really hear about Big Trouble in Little China until I was about 5th grade or so.
Now, see, that's funny because I was 4 when the movie came out, and I can remember it being on Showtime like my last day of kindergarten.
Well, we were HBO people, so
okay.
Yeah, I mean there was some tribalism which I never understood. Like neither
in the day, yeah, it was a big deal. Like which movie provider service you had in the cable.
I mean, really, the only difference is the nudie movies on the secondary channel, be it Cinemax or the movie channel.
Yeah. Good old Skinemax.
Oh, yeah.
11:45 p.m. Friday night. Thank you.
See, my dad, he was all about we call him the VHS king. Till this day, he has walls in his house with VHS tapes, DVDs, and he would record everything.
Oh, I have
the more I hear about your father, the more I love and want to meet this man.
Well, I make people sound better than they are, I guess.
Oh, no. I mean, that's what you want to do on a podcast. It's like I found setting up my another Twitter account, and like they said, "Oh, give me your phone number to do it." And it's like, all right. And then they access like the contacts on my phone, and then it's like, oh, my uncle in New York and my aunt and his wife, and it's tough for me to call her aunt because they didn't get married till I was like 21, 22, and then by that point the patriarch of the family had passed, so there was not a lot of drawback to going to Buffalo. but then it's like, oh yeah, sure. Do I follow them? And it's like, oh no, I remember when they found me on Facebook. Like, I don't say things that are. It's like, oh, it'd be great to promote the podcast, and then oh, yeah,
sketchy.
Yeah, well, it's just more of like, I'm just being honest. Oh, just being honest and open, and it's like, oh yeah, mom's not gonna want. Mom and dad, I have enough problem, borrowing money from them to begin with, but I need that source. So, but when you bring up Gremlins, it was kind of like, well, isn't there always trouble in Chinatown?
I've been bringing it back. Let's see. Okay,
yeah. I mean,
it's true. It's so true.
I've been to Chicago's Chinatown a few times, but I can't say anything too sketchy.
I would say, yeah, no one tried to sell me a Mogwai up in Chicago.
No. Well, I did it once. Like the first time I went to Chinatown, it was for a Chinese New Year, and it was at 0 degrees the entire time. That's of course the thermometer.
Yeah, being in Chicago, the wind chill negative -1 billion.
Yeah, so surprised I still had the girlfriend after that trip. So, like, oh, why didn't we go to like some? Well, I was studying Mandarin at the time, so.
But you get a woman cold. That's pretty much all she wrote, folks.
Yeah. Oh, didn't even think about it because so. I mean, my girlfriend would love doing podcasts in 80-degree rooms, I guess. My most recent ex. So, and something that surprises me though, I know Dennis Dune is technically the supporter. I mean, as you said, we're telling the story of the sidekick, but it's his story. But he had a hell of a 1985 to 1987. Like, I'm surprised he wasn't. I mean,
the mid 80s were decent to him.
Yeah, I'm surprised like you couldn't spin that. I mean, what does BD Wong have that he doesn't? Like, don't get me wrong. Love me some BD Wong.
BD Wong's my favorite part of the Law and Order drinking game.
Oh, okay. I have not played that one. But
Oh, don't do it. Alcohol poisoning abound.
There's a movie that I gotta rewatch, and I watch pretty often, so I don't know why I haven't taken the time to. Does the movie end? Does this narrative end before the credits, so I can go and bend the rules of the show? Men of War, Dolph Lundgren movie, 1994, I think it was.
Because I think that was after Universal Soldier.
Yeah, Kano is the guy who plays Kano. Colin. Something like he only really had Kano. He gets I think half digested in Deep Rising. The movie that was setting us up for the Mummy trilogy. I think that's Scott Summers or something like that. Not Scott. No, that's Cyclops.
I say no ruby quartz sunglasses on set. Thank you.
So it's like, I don't know, he had hell of a run. I mean, he had Year of the Dragon in 85 with Mickey Rourke, when Mickey Rourke was at his peak.
Was the man.
Yeah. Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, obviously. And then The Last Emperor, a Best Picture winner. It's like, and he'll get a TV guest spot every now and then. It's like, I don't know, maybe he needed Al Pacino from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to tell him, give him the Italy speech and like,
oh gosh,
go to Hong Kong. And then talking about the action again, I got noted the very eclectic firearm selection. It's like they, it's like something you'd imagine it'd be like an Ed Wood movie where they're stealing the monster They just break into a soundstage, grab whatever guns were laying around.
Whatever you can fit in the bag, take it.
There's that theory, or maybe we just go with this is whatever these dudes could get. They're resourceful dudes, so this is their arsenal. They all don't need the latest AK. Like he's got one, that's good enough.
Yeah, but then a Tommy gun like is shown right after that guy.
There's a reason that Thompson was used for so long, sir.
It definitely felt like everyone had a unique gun. It's so true.
Yeah.
You didn't see the same gun twice, really.
No. Yeah.
I mean,
even it wasn't a simple gun. Like you didn't see a guy with like a 38 snub nose. You saw a guy with the 44 mag Dirty Harry.
Yeah. Yes. Make you feel like Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
And even like when Egg Shen has his projectile moment, he has a freaking it looked like a pipe bomb with a crystal.
Yeah. Crystal bazooka. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I already covered that. I think this does have the best rule of all action movies. I think we should all follow is that cops have better things to do than to get killed.
Yes. And since you brought that up, let's talk about that for a second. Can we safely say that Jack Burton might be one of the most quotable movie characters of the 80s?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I mean that opening scene in the semi alone. As a guy who was raised by truckers and has worked at many truck stops, you know how many times I've heard those speeches on the CBs at 2 a.m.
Oh, I see. I was by the time turn of the century, like everybody was like, no, I'm not buying a radio. I got a cell phone. So that was so I missed that element.
Oh gosh.
Of the trucking industry.
But yeah, like I said, he's got some of the best one-liners. All in the reflexes.
Is the checks? The checks
check
in the
is in the mail. Rock the pillars ahead, shook the pillars ahead.
Yeah, another one. No, I noted a bunch of them.
Yeah, I remember being young. Like I wanted to emulate him. The bravado ad. It's like I want to be that guy. That's who I want to. I might not always win, but I don't care. I'm gonna feel like a winner every day.
And I'm gonna have the last word. I'm gonna have that one-liner that everyone's gonna remember.
Yeah.
And an epic mullet.
Oh, I guess that the question is Riggs or
Kurt Russell.
Burton. Yeah.
Ooh,
it's tough.
It's funny you mentioned that because just the other day I was very elevated. And for some reason, I was picturing a lot of the scenes from the first Lethal Weapon, but I was replacing Mel Gibson in my mind with Kurt Russell, and it worked.
Oh, I could definitely see that. That's funny though. Like my B movie zombie screenplay that I was writing independent wrestling, stories about my wrestling as scripts, and then I went to a bunch of B movie double features. I am saying B movie is very polite. These are no budget movies. And it's like, well, shit, I got enough friends. I in the wrestling business. I'll write my zombie movie and we'll do it that way. And I wanted to pay homage to Tarantino. So it's like, okay, I got to open the movie with just this people sitting around a table bullshitting. So it's not like a Virgin. I don't think, but it's basically the character based more off me would be going off about, no, Jeff Bridges, Kurt Russell, interchangeable. As a kid, I couldn't really tell you the difference between the two. I wouldn't say, because again, I couldn't really watch dramas as a kid. All the good ones were rated R. So I didn't see, Against All Odds, bringing it back to James Woods. So it's no, look at it. They both did movies in Texas. And somebody's arguing you can't replace Wyatt Earp with Rooster Cogburn. I think you can do that. But, and then it all kind of concludes with somehow referencing freaking Three Amigos. Is that scene? Which oh great, now can't make this movie just because You got to pay for the rights to My Little Buttercup. Yeah, but no, Kurt Russell definitely has more of a Hollywood appeal, I guess, than Jeff Bridges. Well, then again, like
we're just doing this movie though. I can't.
No, I will give you
humility. The humility that you have to be Jack Burton. There's not many actors I feel who could pull that off.
Well,
I think Flynn from Tron is not that far removed from Kurt Russell.
I mean, I can see the parallels.
There's for sure, but there's a genius to him too, though.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, let's face it, love Jack Burton, dude's a meathead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were talking about who else could play that character. I don't know if this is still happening, but there was a thing a couple years ago saying
the Rock is the big
Rock
one.
was going to do a remake,
which we talked about it. I think in the first part of the They Live conversation about just Roddy Piper being. Well, there you go. There's the answer. I think Roddy could play Jack Burton.
He could have. Yeah, he could have pulled.
Okay,
like there's our guy.
Yeah, I mean, feel bad for Roddy because like he kills it in They Live.
And he wrote most of his own one-liners.
Yeah,
he was just doing the wrestling promo thing. Could you imagine the Jack Burton one-liners delivered and written by Piper?
Yeah. I mean the trick, but I mean that's Carpenter knew how to let a wrestler be a wrestler, and I think that's the thing that it took Hollywood 20 years to actually make it so Dwayne Johnson is doing good movies.
Yeah.
I mean he makes a butt ton of money for all the studios he works with, but that's the key phrase. Like, are the movies good though?
Right. You're right. I mean,
I'd say that he's good in them. Like, I'm who's a fan of him. Like, he definitely knows what he's doing with himself. Like, he
Yeah, I'll give you that. Like, his first, not counting like Mummy Returns, when he did
the Rundown,
Walking Tall and the Rundown.
Yeah,
I thought he was good in those two movies.
Yeah. Well, it's like how they didn't know how to do anything with John Cena until Trainwreck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
they tried to make him an action star, which he looks like one, and he did okay in Bumblebee, but he was also being funny, which is one of his strong suits. Let him be funny.
Right. That's why you're not going to see Roman Reigns make that crossover. But
that's another conversation that I just don't know if I have the strength
No. This isn't a wrestling podcast. Gregory Carl does have one, and it's like, so it can turn into that. A lot of me telling little stories and wishing Schadenfreude, enjoying Schadenfreude to guys who stubbed me back in the day. So let's see. But when we talk about one-liners, though, David Lopan, I mean, I don't know how you can not love the guy. Like you'd expect somebody who's lived for 2,000 years to
be a little quippy.
Yeah. That is pissing me off to no end. James Hong, I mean, it sucks that we don't have Victor Wong anymore, but James Hong showed up in Turning Red, so it's good to. And then never mind Wayne's World 2. He's the reason to see that movie, honestly.
Yeah, I can give you that. Yeah, I wouldn't watch those two films anymore, but I probably would go back to that just for him.
Yeah.
A funny thing with James Wong, randomly, one of the great things my dad has handed over to me. We were watching a movie he recorded, and then another movie played right after that, and ended up being one of those kind of Skinemax films from like back in the day. And it was James Wong was in it, and he was like this mobster dude who ran this brothel who would get girls. It was called China Girl.
Oh, okay.
And
it sounds familiar.
Like courtesans and everything.
Yeah.
It felt like he still had that Lopan-ness about him.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like it's like, what if Lopan ran a brothel? And it's just like, he kind of did.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he had to have been taking something from the White Tiger. But and then you think about
he says flat out to Burton, there have been others, but the
trials,
the trials and tribulations of women.
But Yeah, and of course this movie's got my one like the one actor I'm determined I want to meet sometime is Al Leong. He's like he is the face of the Wing Kong. He's
Okay.
he shows like he's in every Carpenter movie actually if you really look. But I mean, he's probably going to. He was
also in Best of the Best, I think, as well.
Right? I have not watched that one in a long time.
I just watched it 2 weeks ago.
I
think he's on the Team Korea, right?
Yeah.
Die Hard, though. He's the guy who eats the baby Ruth before the cops.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was in Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, as the guy torturing Riggs.
Yeah, again, the 80s were very kind to him as well.
Well, he's like, I looked at his IMDb and it's like, oh, yeah. Like I was watching a Showdown in Little Tokyo, one of my favorites. And like, oh, that's Al Leong. He's just as he's going to be one of the 9 guys that Dolph Lundgren kills to save Tia Carrere. Which, man, I guess this is just a little too early for her. Like she could have definitely seen some green contacts on her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I recently saw like all the advertisements for that movie Easter Sunday, and she's in it.
Oh,
and she still looks good.
Yeah.
Let's see, Al Leong.
You mentioning him makes me like I was rewatching the movie again just to have a nice fresh
in
my mind. Granted, I watch this movie once a year, so now at this point I've seen it 3 times this year. So
okay.
But I'm rewatching it, and that elevator scene after they've taken the energy juice.
Yeah.
And that one moment, like he goes to Egg Shen and he like rubs his shoulder, and there's a smile on his face. I was like, is he ready to fight, or is he like? What's happening?
So he's like, come on, Egg, let's cuddle.
Yeah, like I think he got ecstasy in his drink.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, being a spending my virtually 25 years in combat sports, be it professional wrestling or tough man contests. We're talking the old FX show. Rules and high school wrestling and stuff. It's like, I don't know, man, you get a good buzz from a good fight. It's like just it's all about the relief. It's not really
but
nothing personal.
I did always wonder what was in that jug, because as soon as Jack asked like, what is it, first thing out of Egg's mouth, huge buzz.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, I think there might be something to your X theory, or
but the 6 demon bag was the beverage, and it's like and I immediately went to my drink app, like, has somebody made a 6
the
6 demon bag?
Yes.
Yeah. I imagine to have something ginger in it.
Of course, yeah. Keep your tummy all good after all
right.
that.
With it being smoky and green, I see absinthe being involved.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I was just thinking about like some kind, maybe some chili powder in there.
Insane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know that somebody is selling or at least somebody did make a flask, like saying 6, like a demon face on it and 6 demon bag written on it. So yeah. Or it's good to have the CouchMan bakes, because like, or it needs to be a cannabis hybrid.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Well, I do know that there is a strain called the 3 Storms. I know.
I do know about that one.
Yeah, I do know that the movie has influenced the cannabis industry.
Yeah. So let's see, and seeing all the. Let's see. So we talked about the remake. I think, the remake, it's like, if you get somebody who knows how to, like, basically by this point, I think Dwayne Johnson directs himself. So I could see him being entertaining enough. I don't know, legacy sequel maybe. Like
maybe, yeah. It's just it's tough. Like it's one of those things you don't want to see tampered with.
Yeah, I know, but it's for me a lot of it's just that John Carpenter's more of just a Twitter influencer now. It's like I want to see him work, man.
I mean, he didn't like with. I know with Halloween Kills last year and Halloween Ends coming up, he was producer and he did help with the music stuff.
Yeah,
with his son, but he really was kind of hands off.
Yeah, and of course, you think about Halloween, then you think the Rob Zombie stuff, and it's like, yeah, maybe we should go back to his properties. I mean, like the first I had that talk with Gregory sometime about like the sequel, and it's like Rob Zombie's Halloween, and he said it's just so crazy. And it's like, well, you're kind of selling it now, because of how batshit it sounds. I have not seen it. I mean, I don't know. It kind of like I kind of enjoy, one Malcolm McDowell. I'm always down for. So, but I did kind of enjoy the idea of finding out about the past of Michael Myers, but then again, you just want to stop and like, no, you just want to appreciate him being the embodiment of evil with no actual motivations.
Yeah, it's the mystery that makes it better.
It's scarier that way without the explanation.
Right.
It's like the Joker. I don't want to know why the Joker's a Joker. Just let him be the Joker.
Well, you say that though, and I think like I'm more of a Jack Nicholson over.
Yeah, exactly. Well, to an extent, I guess, because they give him an origin, but at the same time, like he's still that guy.
He's a psychotic.
The bat didn't really change him. He was always that guy.
Yeah,
it just made him more that guy.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, but
I would say if they were going to do a remake, I think there's someone I could see taking it on that could capture the essence of it. And do you ever see Kung Fu Hustle?
Oh, Stephen Chow?
I think he could get it because that character was a screw up to the whole film.
Oh yeah, I never,
Yeah. And having an actual Kung Fu influence where we get to see some actual good fights. Being like a little slapstick, that could be interesting.
Well, then, so Jackie Chan is Egg Shen then?
You know what? I go with it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate fighting. That. He doesn't fight. He's just there.
Yeah.
He's like,
right.
Now, my question, of course, the big question: who's playing Lo Pan?
Oh,
because you had mentioned Jackie Chan, and I was thinking maybe him for that, but I think I like the Egg Shen better.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you could age. Well, I mean, they obviously aged up James Wong at this in this film. James Hong, sorry.
Victor Show himself could play Lo Pan.
Yeah, you could do that.
Because it's not a big character. He's still big enough, but not like.
Now, BD Wong. We'll just go go back to it. I mean, now that I think about it, it's like, oh, BD Wong. Why did he get all the work? And then, well, different times. Like Dennis Dune was never going to get a role in a. I mean, aside from
mainstream.
Yeah, not. Again, we needed Al Pacino to give him that speech. Go to Hong Kong. And now that I think about directors, well, I guess Kill Bill kind of dismisses like, yeah, can Tarantino really shoot action that well?
Yeah, he definitely that whole last bit of Kill Bill Volume 1, that last half hour was just a giant FU to people who said he couldn't do action.
Right. Well, I like more of his staging. Like I think Inglourious Basterds, like the beginning of the final story, and how he's kind of breaking the fourth wall during the David Bowie song, like going like, okay, we just saw the set, all right. Another great quote. The Chinese have a lot of hells.
Yes. Yeah. Well, hell of the upside down sinners.
I'll send you to the hell
alive.
Yeah.
Hell of bubbling oil. I think those are the only ones they mentioned in the movie.
Well, there had to have been the they meant because the line is said pretty early though. There's a bunch of hell. The Chinese have a bunch of hells. But that leads me to the this movie is basically like what Egg Shen says in his monologue. As we're getting introduced to the character as he's waiting for, Jack to finish up their, rescue attempt. And he's just explaining, the Chinese, you take this stuff from this place, Confucianism, Buddhism, and you just take whatever you want and throw out that. And then when you see the wedding sequence, it's like, okay, why the hell do we have neon in there? It's like, this is what Jack...
It was 86.
1986, yeah.
You say that, but it's like, yeah, I can see John Carpenter just doing that anyhow.
Oh, you can't tell me that's not what his romper room looked like in 86.
Well,
come on.
I didn't...
that wasn't a set. That was the Carpenter's backyard, man. Come on.
Yeah, I think of that movie, I think of like The Last Dragon, and they all have that same feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And let's see. Victor Wong, as Egg Shen, can't be appreciated enough. Like, the last thing I really remember him from is Tremors, and
he did the Three Ninjas movies
after that. Yeah, he was the uncle or the grandfather.
Grandfather of Three Ninjas. Yeah, that was just when I was getting associated, because I studied Taekwondo, but of course everybody was saying karate. And it's like, no, mine's Korean. And I guess it was kind of like, yeah, Hollywood doesn't really take that into account.
Mm-mm.
Oh no.
It's
all karate to them. It's all the same.
Right. Well,
at that time, it's all the same.
1984 with Karate Kid. I was at C2E2, I want to say 2019, and the closing panel was Billy Zabka and dang it,
Ralph Macchio.
Yes, thank you. It's like, no, you don't want to say the only character that, besides for Vinny's cousin. Ralph Macchio, and they were talking about how the referee was the instructor to train both Macchio and Zabka. They kind of played it off like Zabka was actually trained in Taekwondo and Macchio in karate, so you could get that different style. Kind of wish the series would acknowledge that, but Cobra Kai, what was that? Taekwondo? That's Cobra Kai. Yeah. So, yeah, my problem with Three Ninjas was I was out after the basketball scene. Like this is bullshit.
See, I just looked as the basketball scene is, hey, go get a snack, go to the restroom, come back, and then we're gonna get some good butt kicking.
This isn't the rewatchables where they now have a category on that Ringer podcast, like the piss break scene.
Yeah.
Let's see. But speaking earlier with Carpenter, and for me, though, hoping it was Kurt Russell doing the low voice in the theme song. Yeah. I know there's a lot of directors. I didn't know Eastwood did a bunch of his scores. Nobody thinks about that because it's not really that unique. I guess Eastwood is just, this is what I want for this movie. And Eastwood doesn't make B movies, essentially.
No.
Yeah.
So all I can really think of is Carpenter and Rodriguez.
Yeah, they're definitely the most prevalent or well-known of the guys who do that.
Right.
They each had their own bands, too, outside of just doing movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, let's see.
I did see a thing recently which surprised me because, you mentioned this, that Tom Cruise that doesn't do music for his own movies.
No.
But he did actually, change something, and I think the last Mission Impossible that he done. And there was the last half hour or something, they were like, we don't have to do with this, we're going to cut it all out. And he came into the editing room and he's just like, no, just change the music here, rewrite the composition here for this music, and we can keep all this in. and that little thing fixed the whole movie apparently.
That's interesting. I was not in a good place, though. I guess I was just in an exhausted place when I watched the last Mission Impossible. Like it was a red box rent 2 for $2 night.
Oh wow!
The first movie, and I watched it with my ex, was The Predator.
Nice.
Which is definitely so bad it's good, I think.
Yeah,
about the Shane Black one.
Yes,
right.
Remember when we all had such high hopes for that movie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's just it. We didn't want that. We wanted Shane Black, the guy who was Poncho, was he? Or
no, he played the one with the glasses and read the comic books. I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but no,
the one
Poncho
who didn't look like he belonged there.
Right.
No, he was like the nerdiest, geekiest looking dude in that unit.
I heard they wanted to do rewrites on that movie, and he's just like, no, you cast me. I'm not doing anything else. I mean, I don't know. I guess when you play the character who inspired the Predator laugh at the end, we should have known better. Man, you got a big pussy. Man, you got a big pussy.
Yeah, let's bring that up. The nerdiest, geekiest comic book reading dude with just the vulgarest jokes he could come up with to try to get his buddies to laugh.
Yeah, which nowadays you follow Twitter account. There's Twitter accounts of people deconstructing comic books. It's like, yeah, you're exactly what that character. Like, yep. I mean, you're the guy at the bar who you used to joke about it with my my old wrestling road buddy Raul, and it's like, and I talked to his tag team partner, and it's like, oh no, he's just the funny fat kid. Like, he'll say the crudest stuff and keep going until somebody laughs and like makes it all worthwhile. It's like, oh. There's some things I like about cancel culture. Like, we could tell that guy to shut off after three failed lines. That's now I'm thinking though, Jesse Ventura was so underutilized as an actor when you stop and think about it. At least, like, he had a good run with Predator, The Running Man.
Yeah, but his characters are all kind of one note.
Well, yes, but I
mean, that's the thing. Like, yeah, he had a good run until people realized you're gonna get the same dude every single. I mean, come on, even in Batman and Robin, he was the same character.
Okay, yeah, that was my biggest problem with Venom. Once I saw the glow sticks out and when Venom Let There Be Carnage, and he's just, that movie. Like, it wasn't good. But I mean, I don't know. I like the Venom Eddie Brock dynamic, but the stories around it just
it had really weird pacing.
Oh,
because like when the movie was over, my wife and I were like, "Wait, that's all the movie there is?" Like,
yeah, it was
we
a
thought
night.
it was we thought it was like 45 minutes in.
Yeah. No, it's a 90-minute movie. I went to that was the only reason I went to the cinema in 20.
Fit the criteria, huh?
Yeah, 2021. Like, I think I went to 2 Riff Tracks Fathom events, and no, I did see Spiral, I guess, but otherwise it was 2 Riff Tracks events and Venom.
Like, the only reason we even saw that movie, we went to the drive-in to see it last year, and they were playing. Speaking of John Carpenter. They were playing the original Halloween right after it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was like, I want to watch that shit in the drive-in. So that'll be cool as hell.
Yeah. It's, so let's see. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of low on notes because, this is Stone Cold classic. So it's like, we all know this movie by the back of our hand.
The crazy thing I found when rewatching it, I hadn't watched it with the commentary since I bought the DVD back in 2000 whatever.
Right.
And so I watched it with the commentary before watching it just with the sound. And it's funny the fact that they probably talk about the movie for like 15 minutes, and
Oh,
the rest of the runtime is just the two of them
bullshitting.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting they brought the fact that the movie was like a $10 million funded movie. They had $3 million for promotions, and yet there was no promotion really put out there for this movie. It's like the
$3 million
company didn't really want to even push this thing.
Yeah, $3 million in '86. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, $10 million. That was just your average movie budget. I mean, that's still in the high. Well, it's still in the high side for back then. I mean, I hate Titanic just because it said, "Yeah, let's make a movie over $100 million."
That's one of many reasons not like that movie. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's not it. I mean, it's. I don't know. The only reason I really hated Titanic when it was out, and I acknowledge, like, brilliantly directed movie. I mean, the script is George Lucas. Like, is that what inspired the Attack of the Clones script? What James Cameron was doing in Titanic?
I hope not.
I don't know. Like, at least we can blame somebody else besides George Lucas.
George Lucas.
I don't remember Leonardo DiCaprio bitching about sand and everything.
Leo, that's okay, but that's the difference. I don't know. Now you're asking me, like, could I see, like, Leo was about the right age for Anakin Skywalker, maybe a couple years too old.
I think he was considered for it.
Oh, geez, like. That was a weird. Well, I don't know. That was a weird time. Like, I guess he went for after the beach. It was kind of like,
Well, like, he was considered for it. Like, Colin Hanks was considered for it.
Well, no. Oh gosh, that would have been awful. And I like Colin Hanks. But then again, like, you can't. How do we excuse Natalie Portman, like one of the great actresses of the generation? Yeah. Which was something I was watching, like, a What Culture video, and they were talking about legacy sequels, and it's like, we need Matilda the Professional.
You know what? I always expected that movie to be made, though, and I would have been for it. Yeah,
right. I don't know though. It's like, you got to find somebody to make up the hole left by Gary Oldman. I mean, that's one of Oldman's greatest performances.
Yeah, it is.
And that's saying something, because not a lot of bad performances on his list.
No, not when you stop and think about it. Yeah, I mean, maybe Tim Roth. Like, I really want to see an unhinged Tim Roth at some point. I think we got some stuff early before, he got into it, back when the Brit Pack came out.
There was teases of unhinged in Tarantino movie. He played Mr.
He was Mr. Pink.
Dogs?
No, he was Mr. Orange in Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs. Yeah, that's the movie.
Yeah, but the character himself was an act. Like,
which kind of, like I said, leads to the unhinged part of it. He's doing the cop thing. He's undercover.
Yeah, but I mean, that explains more of, like, I mean, his most unhinged moment is honestly telling Mr. White that he was the rat. Like, no, you could have,
though, in a Tarantino film, if that can't be your most unhinged moment, then when is? Like, Tarantino got to do it with.
Madsen cutting off the ear.
Oh yeah, I mean, he didn't have the spot. It wasn't his place to.
Yeah.
I mean, all we got is Tim Roth. I'm dying for the majority of the film until he gets his chapter. Steve Buscemi. I mean, he might be a little too old now for FBI agent, but corrupt FBI agent who's in the field. Ed Norton, there it is.
I would say, like, you also got Willem Dafoe.
Oh yeah, well, he's a little. No, he's such a chameleon. I think he can do it. Yeah,
I think of him in Boondock Saints.
Yeah, which is about the only thing to really think of about Boondock Saints in any positive light. I mean, I love Boondock Saints. I'll watch it maybe once a year, but it's
good
not
for what it does.
Yeah, but it's like, oh gosh, this is the like, oh gosh, the homo. Not I can't really say, like, Willem Dafoe at least allows for the homophobia to exist in that movie, but the over the top male chauvinism, and it's like, and I think Troy Duffy actually believes in all that stuff, especially after the second one.
Yeah, that second one, boy.
Ooh, like,
yeah, that's one of those things. Like, I don't watch the sequel for that. Like, I watched it once. I was like, I don't have to watch it again. I'll stick to this part one, the only one that exists.
I like that they gave Billy Connolly more to do, but and I like Clifton Collin Jr. in it.
Yeah. Again, I had no problem with the cast. It was just
but the script is yeah. So, but we don't have to worry about another Troy Duffy movie. Like, so that's I don't know. We're kind of running short in like auteurs. It kind of feels like everybody gets absorbed into the Marvel machine by the end of it all.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. I mean, it's Deborah Chow who directed Nomadland, won the Best Picture, and then she does the Eternals. Yeah, it's like, and then even Sam Raimi. I mean,
so he did Spider-Man before that too. So it's like superhero films,
right? But it's like the superhero movie of Sam Raimi's is Darkman.
But that's still him. That's definitely him doing his thing.
Yeah. But there goes Liam Neeson as the corrupt agent. Like, that guy. Awesome. Yeah, that guy doesn't quit. Like, he's 70 years old and still doing action movies. He doesn't have the Stallone physique to justify it.
Well, he doesn't do action. That's why he's in the movie, but he doesn't actually.
Yeah, and I think he's even said he's going to like start chilling out on the action stuff because he's like, guys, I'm in my 70s. Let's move on.
Yeah. Jim Carrey come back. He could probably do an agent type role.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, I think that he doesn't get enough credit for some of the serious stuff he can bring to a film.
Right.
Like, I look back at 23. It wasn't a great movie.
No.
I liked everything he did in that film. I thought he was really good.
Yeah, no, it's just there's nothing to the script, really. Like, you're having
on him.
Yeah, I mean, which is kind of sad because you had Virginia Madsen, who was kind of having a renaissance at that time after Sideways. But it's like, now with Carrey, it's like, yeah, if you don't have a story behind it, it's like, because by maybe even a third way through the movie, you're too busy playing 23 games on your own than to actually pay attention to the movie. So, bad gimmick, I think. Big one on that one. So, yeah. So I mean, we addressed remakes. We got all the best quotes in there, I think.
I think there's the fact that this movie covers so many genres.
Oh yeah, no. Well, one, it's based on a Western script.
Now.
Yeah, and
you got the mystery, the mysticism.
Yeah. No, it kind of makes me further hate Shanghai Noon.
There's so many reasons to hate Shanghai Noon.
Yeah. Well,
I like Jackie Chan. I can't fully get behind that movie.
No.
There's moments, but that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it was better than Shanghai Nights.
I don't know. By that point, it's kind of like my opinion on actual true story. I had a wrestling show in Chicago, and I don't know, may have inadvertently cockblocked Billy Corgan from Scarlet Bordeaux. She's talking her up, and I somehow slip into the conversation. We get into an argument over Hangover versus Hangover 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm saying I didn't really like The Hangover. I thought it was just all juvenile, and then like Hangover 2. Okay, you took it to the next level. Like, that's what you did. My mom loved The Hangover. Hated Hangover 2 because, well, come on, it was disgusting. Well, where else are you going to go with that?
Yeah, you just got to wrap up everything you already did.
Right. So
all those kind of movies and you make sequels.
Right, but I was just saying, as long as if you get that kind of response, though, I think you've nailed it. And then, but Todd Phillips, kind of I don't know what to say about him, honestly. I mean, Joker is worth a watch just for Joaquin Phoenix, but is it really anything else to that movie?
I'm not for it, honestly.
Yeah,
it's a weird thing because I like everyone that's in it.
Oh yeah, no,
well,
I mean,
get ready because you're getting a musical sequel with Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, baby.
I think that's the only way. Again, that's the only way you can take it, though. Like there shouldn't be a sequel. I think we can all agree upon that. But
for me, I kind of have this thing where like it's also just hard having these villain movies.
That
rely on the superhero. Like you can't, in my opinion, you can't have Venom without Spider-Man. You can't have Joker without Batman. They there's a reason they complete each other. Like they make one another.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, well, you get that in The Boys, like especially the third season, where it is like Homelander and Butcher are just the yin to the yang. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. Well, Butcher's not a hateful person. He's just an asshole.
Yeah, and he was made that way more.
Yeah,
not just because his dad, but everything that happened with
Homelander.
Yeah.
If
Homelander didn't screw up his life, he may have been a better person.
Right.
He might have had a kid.
Yeah, and well, that'll be interesting, the fourth season, because I figure you got to conclude. I mean, if you got to clock on Butcher's expiration date now.
Yeah. And now they're bringing in Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yes. Oh no, they always find a way to draw you in for the. Like they didn't really do anything too big for the second season, at least in casting. But but then it's like the first season's so good, you want to see what happens next. And after the second season, it's like, okay, now let's make sure people keep coming back, like Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy. Alone just for the entire doing the rap to Rapture on Solid Gold.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah. So, as I say, I got the movie in my peripheral. That's why I'm still bullshitting. We're not.
Where's it at right now? What scene are we on?
They are just entering the wedding.
Yeah.
So we're getting the climax.
Right.
I guess that scene right there. So in that moment, they're gonna have the battle, and you'll have Wang versus Rain.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid and watching that scene, and I thought it was so cool how it felt like I was watching a live action anime because you had like those lines in the background.
Yeah, the blurry background.
Yeah,
doing too much in the time it would take to jump from here to here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the. I guess it's really an homage to who's the stunt coordinator / director, Woon Ping. I mean, the guy who really created Wire Fu.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Hong Kong before that was just basically throw Jackie Chan off some shit.
And even he had some wire work, but never to that effect. Never really flying around.
Right. So it's like.
Yeah, it was more of a safety wire to keep him from completely jumping over this thing.
Yeah. Unless it was.
Like here or there.
Yeah. Unless it was just two guys going at it, with their awesome kung fu. It was very much the same kind of shots that Carpenter does in this movie. Like, again, the behind the back of who's ever going to get punched in the face. Just like Enter the Dragon, the first time you really get to see the villain get, punched. You just, like, it's almost like, and so you just knocked the head off a dummy? Oh, shoot. Okay. I'm trying to think. Black Mask.
Yeah, you're right. The Wu Ping Yen is the one.
Yeah.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, exactly. But it's kind of fun now that now in action movies though that we're getting to the like it's almost full circle the Hong Kong influence. Like this is like if you didn't have great martial artists in your Hong Kong movie, it was pretty much frame the shot to make the aftermath look cool.
Yeah.
Like it's like especially with the guy who they break the ankle of early in the first fight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the guy who gets his head smushed between two buildings.
Yeah. And then it's like now we got to the point where we're back to just have awesome people fighting each other, like with John Wick, Atomic Blonde to a lesser extent, like up close, personal. Honestly, I don't know. Now I'm just thinking, oh, come on, 2023, get around here. I want to see John Wick 4.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised with that whole film series. Like, it's one of those things I wouldn't have expected to last as long as it has, and actually get kind of better with each one.
Well, they created a great universe that we wanted to see. Like,
and they did such a good job with the first one, kind of like not really letting you know what was going on with the movie and the advertising.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you watch this thing and like, okay, I'm watching the beginning of a rom-com. And then next thing I know, he's beating up his garage floor. Oh shit, everyone dies.
It's and the sense of humor in it, which reminds me again about how incompetent Jack Burton is. The entire he's about to throw his knife at Lo Pan during the the video game sequence. Did I miss it already?
Oh yes, when they're fighting and Lo Pan's doing his
little with his coke nail.
Yes, the magical Atari. I always called that as a kid.
My mom called this the Game Boy moment.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm gonna be the green guy, you be the purple guy, and here we go.
But before that all set up, you had the guy in the thick armor go and stop Burton from throwing the knife. And
he's just stuck there.
He's
just stuck with 200 some pounds of humanity and armor.
It's just like peasant magic.
And Jack's response to it's so great too, because like he's had so many moments leading up into this.
Yeah.
Like he wants to do something and it just goes wrong. And he's just like, oh, come on.
Well, even here in a few moments when he will go after Lo Pan, he'll throw the knife, and Lo Pan doesn't even do anything classy. Like he barely moves his head like a quarter
totally
of an
missed
inch.
the throw.
Yeah, he barely moves the dodge it. Like, come on.
Which is what I love is that his love interest, quote unquote, Kim Cattrall's on the side. Gracie Law, she's looking at him like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Really? And at the end, she still wants to be with him.
Right.
Yeah, like
she sees him at his worst.
Yeah, she sees him as a screw up. He does very little of like actual benefit to the story. And then, she's looking at him like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread or Betty White.
Well, Wang is married now, essentially.
Yeah.
So I mean,
can't go after him,
right?
And Kim Cattrall's buddy, the reporter Margot, she like that
hooks up with Eddie.
Yeah. So really, like Gracie Law's options were Jack Burton or Egg Shen.
Yo, Egg Shen got money though. He got
business. I'm ready to say, he owns that whole block now.
Yeah.
Very rich man.
Yeah.
And he seems like he has toys, so that could help.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, dude's an entrepreneur, hard worker. He's got the tour, he's got the bus.
I mean, if it's a sugar daddy situation, it's a sugar daddy situation.
Oh yeah, Egg Shen's gonna win that every time.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't knock him. So after watching this, it's kind of like I've been meaning to revisit Masters of the Universe, primarily just like there's a part of me like I was a He-Man kid growing up. We all were.
Yeah.
This is like I think the first movie I left like that's not what I expected.
Yeah,
it's like I wanted to apologize to my dad for him having to take us to that movie. But it's like I see the orange guy, the monster, who just randomly shows up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
Beastman.
Right, exactly. It's like
yeah.
did they Masters of the Universe is a canon movie. It's like did they just steal the the suit for the Beastman that they wasted in about 10 minutes? Which again goes back to They Live. Like I opened the second part of the conversation with Gregory Carl with him saying, "Is that a freaking EKG?"
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
The PKE meter.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But they balanced the one ripoff monster with like the Sentinel with like all the eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
That you can't. I mean that was an acid trip dream or something right there to come up with that thing.
And then he's licking his wounds with his tongue.
The eyeball tongue.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Now it's like I look back and Courtney Cox she was the lead in
Masters, yeah.
Oh, gee.
I think she did that right after the Springsteen
video. Well, I think Family Ties.
Yeah, probably all around the same time.
Yeah. Like, I think Dancing in the Dark was 84. Yeah, it had to have been in the midst of Family Ties because, of course, they couldn't get... that was the entire reason why Michael J. Fox was not immediately Marty McFly.
Yeah. It's conflict with the...
Yeah. With Family Ties. Like, and that's such a weird time. We're not going to get that anymore. Thankfully. No. But, Harrison Ford was not supposed to be Indiana Jones. That was supposed to be Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck, Magnum PI, yeah.
Yeah. And never mind, Pierce Brosnan wasn't James Bond until he was probably too old to be James Bond.
Yeah.
I
like Timothy Dalton though. I thought he was a great James Bond.
Oh yeah,
good.
Yeah, he's definitely underappreciated.
I didn't even mind Roger Moore.
Yeah, I kind of give.
He's hit and miss, but
yeah. I'll take Roger Moore over Pierce Brosnan. I'd say.
Yeah, I'd do that. Moore is like Brosnan had GoldenEye, and that's just a fun action movie, which kind of should have told us right there. This ain't James Bond anymore.
What made that good though? Like, I want to say the same director who did the first Dalton Bond did GoldenEye and Casino Royale. So
right.
It's like a go-to Bond director.
Yeah. And then we had a writer's strike and it almost killed the Craig series.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, there's some great direction in Quantum of Solace, but I mean, you could tell they didn't have a script. Literally, they did not have a script.
There's some bad pacing in the movie right there too.
Yeah.
Well, that, and I swear half the direction for that movie was be British.
Yeah. It's like, this is the first great English Bond you have because Connery is Scottish.
Yeah.
Lazenby Australian.
Yeah.
Brosnan Irish. Timothy Dalton, you'd say English, but was born in Wales.
Yeah, he's Welsh. And then Moore
was English, but he was way too old to be Bond actually when he was Bond. And that's before he was like, oh my God, I'm the same age as Tanya Roberts' mother when he's shooting View to Kill. Which, I don't know. I really want to like A View to the Kill just because of Christopher Walken. I mean, Grace Jones is great in it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Grace Jones.
Yeah. I'm a firm fan of Conan the Destroyer.
Right. Yeah.
It's a sloppy movie all the time.
Do you think she knows she was in that movie?
Well, Grace Jones?
Yeah. Because I imagine that's just how Grace Jones be on a Thursday.
They did a sketch on A Living Color. It was Rocky 6, and the opponent was Grace Jones.
I would watch that movie.
So Kim Wayans is Grace Jones, Jim Carrey is, and it's basically, Grace Jones is just gonna beat the shit out of you so she can go and drag you home like a cave person, which is how it ends. Like, but you have Keenan as Rocky, you're not ready for this fight. We've done everything we possibly can. I've come back from the dead to coach you. I'm not afraid of no man. You're not dealing with a man. You're dealing with a machine. Dance to the rhythm. Honestly, that is the one thing. Now that I think about it, this movie is missing. We don't have a black character.
No, I don't. Maybe during that opening Chinatown montage, you might see something. Yeah, there is nobody.
Yeah,
there's no one with a line.
Yeah. I mean, you go back. Well, I guess there wasn't any black people in. None come to mind in freaking Prince of Darkness. I think there is. It's just nothing like
sticking out. Yeah.
I mean, when Keith David is your go-to black guy. I mean,
not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
All those Carpenter
we had that on the They Live movie, They Live podcast. It's like, gosh, Keith David, like, what, Gargoyles is his primary starring role?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can't think of anything where he's the main guy.
Yeah, I know he came up in the theater scene, but it's like, I mean, I don't think he.
That and voicing Spawn in the
cartoon again, voice acting, yeah. It's like,
yeah, he's definitely underutilized.
You probably, I don't know if anything could have saved the Spawn live action movie, but
better editing, possibly.
Better special effects.
Yeah, because Michael J. White often talks about that, the fact that the movie they shot is not the movie that was edited.
Yeah. I mean, Martin Sheen's, and that's just sad. Michael J. White does his best because he's still pretty, like, nobody ever really coached Michael J. White into becoming an actor.
No.
He went from kickboxing to Toxic Avenger 2. And like,
man, it's one for guys in that movie.
Sure. Yeah. And then it's like his first thing I really saw him in was Universal Soldier: The Return.
Yeah, that was so bad.
That's a movie meant for Mystery Science Theater 3000 bad.
I would totally watch that episode.
Yeah, because there's things I want to like about, like, that's the most painful kind of movie, is the ones that there's things you want to like about it.
Yeah,
like,
especially like for him, he's a good martial artist. For
yeah.
I mean, you could believe a fight between him and Van Damme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, it's I have not seen any. Well, no, I've seen all the Van Damme sequels or reboots of Universal Soldier, and those are all right. But I think
close to the first one.
No, it doesn't have the humor. Like, they're very gritty and like. No, half the fun was, again, person thrown into a new time.
Yeah.
And it's hard to dislike a movie with Tiny Lister in it.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
He's the only part that makes No Holds Barred somewhat watchable.
Yes. Well, Kurt Fuller going all out.
Kurt Fuller gets an honorable mention. He gets an honorable mention.
Yeah.
I used to watch that movie just for one scene and one scene alone. Just that moment in the garage where he's like, "What's that smell? Dookie, I hate Dookie."
I do have a blog called Rip 'em System, so it's a play. I'm a big KMFDM fan. One of their songs is Rip the System, and of course Rip Thomas's catchphrase is "Rip 'em." So, and that's basically my breakdown of how No Holds Barred is Vince McMahon's Mein Kampf. It explains everything he wants to do in wrestling.
That's smacking deep.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, if I could kill people in the ring. Oh, we could throw a rape in here.
I mean, some of that stuff happened.
Well, he did try to kill himself. And they didn't let the storyline about him implying that he was Stephanie's child's father go through.
Yeah, like if you hear how hard he pushed for that.
Oh,
like it gives off. I'm going to say this as politely as I can. Cheeto skin president vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's one of the hush payments he's dealing with. It wasn't a hush payment; it's a tax issue. Like he personally paid Donald Trump for donated to the Trump Foundation for all his work back for WrestleMania 23. I'd like to say
somewhere in there.
And it's like, no, that was a business expense. It should have been claimed there. So there's $9 million there. Then you still have the other $19 million, which were hush payments.
That number goes up every day too.
Yeah. But I did see that he went to celebrated his birthday with John Cena. And now he's like, well, I mean, and he had a woman on his arm who wasn't his wife. Like, at least he's embracing that. I mean, live your truth, man.
Exactly.
So, all right. So we got the end credits going. So I guess I still got some AEW to watch from last night.
I haven't watched that yet either.
Yeah. I did the tried the what inspired a wellness call from my therapist. Like I said I had I was in a spot where it's like, it's not really depression. I'm just really tired of all this stuff. Like maybe, it's life's a video game. It's time to put something else in the cartridge. What's the afterlife like? And it's like, and then I went, like I was saying, oh, I'm gonna go to a goth night at a bar in Urbana, and it's like, so if I can make it through tonight, meaning like, okay, I'm gonna go and then go to work at 7:30 in the morning, was what I meant. It's like, no, that's quite the hyperbole there.
Right.
All right. Well, no, I understand. I gotta filter, I suppose, but so. But thank you very much for coming on, George. So you have not a strong start, the podcast. Shoot, I should have played the gimmick of, because like I was trying to catch back, like I was listening. Somehow my iTunes went and like I was listening to the House of Dragons episode, and then it like, oh, you want to listen to the Predator episode, the Prey episode.
Oh.
I should have done the gimmick where one host claims to be this, the other host claims to be that.
Yeah.
I guess I guess I'd be Egg Shen, maybe. I don't know.
We'll fix it in post. That's
okay. Right. All right. So thanks, George, for coming on. Not a strong start podcast. Just 30 minutes fun of guys talking about whatever's out there right now. And of course, we got Andrew Tiede with CouchMan Bakes on YouTube and
on Twitter.
On Twitter. Oh, well.
Yeah, CouchMan Bakes on Twitter, which is the companion Twitter to my TikTok videos, Baking While Bake.
Okay, Baking While Bake. All right. And I remember you had quite the impressive TikTok numbers. What was the...
I'm just shy of 36,000 right now.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah. Like
no thought, no process. I just do dumb videos, and some people like them.
Mm-hmm. No, they're fun videos. They're just like, I never had a TikTok until, well, I downloaded TikTok because, you know, some guy who goes by 45 said you can't have it. Okay. So, but never watched any videos until graced with the presence of Andrew. And you can follow my me on Twitter at CatBusRuss. That's at CatBusRuss. If you want to be on the podcast, as they say, just throw a movie at me. I'll figure a way to bend the rules that will focus on it and call it something else, obviously. You can send an email to russthebus07@gmail.com, RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com, but preferably just give me a movie, a theme, a director, actor. Just focus on sub 100-minute material, and we'll have a slice of fried gold, as they said in Shaun of the Dead, which the Cornetto trilogy does qualify. Shaun of the Dead qualifies, and of course, you can't talk about one movie without the other two. So, all right. As always, I pay honor to Stacia Hardin, my best friend who passed coming up on 18 years, but, you know, got to impress her. So, still pushing on, and thanks for that. And thanks for touching so many lives you touched. And, yeah, we'll just save it for the David Tennant soundbite to drop at the end. Thanks again for coming on, making the time to be on the 90 for Chill, the podcast. And now for the robot voice.
Can I hear a wahoo?